now that you're all suitably uncomfortable, hello fellow hunters, and welcome as we finally discuss the hot topic, the big one, the Ibushi and Narwa mystery, their union, their
offspring.
What's going on with that? What's up with the rampage? What will happen? What will be this mysterious ending in the next update? Oh yes, it's time to get our detective cap on and answer the question of what will happen when Ibushi and Narwa finally meet. And they will meet. But before we speculate what will happen, we need to actually understand what is happening. So Ibushi and Narwa are the male and female of their species. They are dimorphic, an animal whose different genders look very much different from each other. And you really can get extreme examples of this, like anglerfish. Yeah, ain't she a looker? Yep, that's that expression is so concerned. Like this, just fish look silly. In any case, the big toothy one is the female. The tiny little blob to her right is the male. Kind of ridiculous, honestly, and, well, they reproduce by the male fusing into her body and sacrificing himself to... Look, the point is, deep-sea creatures are real freaky. But also Ibushi and Narwa have elements of sea slugs, like the blue gallicus. I mean, just looking at it, you can kind of see their flowy bodies. Even the sort of little flipper hands that Narwa holds her wibbly-wobbly sack with is kind of there. And they also have the double jaw of something like the moray eel, which shoots out and grabs prey. And look, they're a horrific yet weirdly beautiful amalgamation of a lot of freaky water-based life forms, and that's pretty sweet. And of course we can use that to kinda sorta identify what they might try to do in a Monster Hunter reproduction context, because that's what's happening here. The entire story of Rise, the entire rampage, everything that is happening going wrong, the destruction, the frenzied monsters, the carnage, all of it is caused and comes down to Ibushi and Narwa's mating cycle. Monster Hunter Rise! Shit gets freaky when dragons get freaky. In any case, let me expand. So, Ibushi and Narwa's breeding cycle is 50 yearly. Every 50 years, it is time, which is why the rampage happens every 50 years. Every 50 years, Narwa will find a location that she deems suitable to rear her young, and she will wait there for Ibushi to find her. And we know that she will wait there because, well, she is waiting there, and Ibushi is very lost.
Where is my queen?
Like, I'll be honest, he's a very one-note conversationalist.
Where queen?
It kinda gets old.
Where is my queen?
Coral Palace, man! Go there! Anyway, so she will wait, and he has to prove himself by finding her. But it's not just as simple as, hey Ibushi, I'm here, okay, I'm on my way. There is a lot more carnage caused by this. The rampage. Why is it happening in sync with their mating season? Well, they both contribute. Narwa, when she is in heat, is, well, charged, quite literally. Her giant thunder sack quivers with anticipation. And it is a giant thunder sack. It's not a egg sack, she's not pregnant, it's just where she generates the majority of her power from. That's why the laser beams come out of it. There's not just a baby dragon in there going, oh! As energy pours forth from it, and it tries to rake hunters with purple death. That's really messed up to think about. In any case, she then produces such electromagnetic energy, which is how she floats, is how she lifts rocks, that it causes monsters far and wide to go a little bit loopy. It just changes the atmosphere, and in that loopiness they go berserk and rampage. But that is helped by Ibushi. He's not just looking for Narwa, is he? If he was just looking, he could do that quite nicely and peacefully, floating around in the sky, having a good eyeball at the land. No, he drops bombs. Why does he do this? Well, he's certainly not doing it to look. I don't know about you, but Narwa doesn't quite fit under a tree. He is doing it to disturb the land. He is doing it to destroy the land. Both of them go on and on about wipe the land clean, destroy everything, make everything dead! Everything they do have said, even Narwa's armor description, it's all towards this theme of, look, we are going to reproduce, we're going to have baby Narwa Ibushi serpents, and it would be best for their future, their development, their safety, if all the other monsters and threats, honestly, were just dead. That just simplifies things, so let's just murder, kill, destroy everything, and then it'll just be us two and our happy family in a silent wasteland. Nice! That's essentially their goal, their plan. They choose a nesting site, they obliterate everything around it, and they have this lovely, now, little nursery for their little serpentlings. And that's, I mean, effective, but it's not very good for all of the monsters, hunters, humans, you know, people that live wherever she's happened to choose. So in this case, seemingly she's chosen the Coral Palace, and as you can see with the Coral Palace, it's completely destroyed. It's quite a large area, it's mountainous, and it seems like a landscape like the actual Coral Highlands, except completely ruined. Something did live there, but no longer. And I imagine that's because it's a previous nesting site of the serpents. This has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. They're just an animal species that exists and has existed for ages, and they do this every 50 years, and no one's really been able to stop them until our chosen hunter, a hunter finally with the power to slay and fight and hunt these elders, which is why things are different this time, which is why we're actually standing up for ourselves as opposed to just weathering the storm. In any case, I digress. So he's dropping these bombs on the landscape, which is not only destroying and killing things, it's terrifying them. If you're happy living in a forest as a random monster, and then this huge dragon bomb creates this huge pressure vacuum that rockets into the sky, causing storms of death and hurricane winds, you're gonna get the hell out of there. So when you have hundreds of monsters now trying to get the hell out of there, that forms quite the rampage. And it just happens Chimera Village is really in the path of get them out of there. They're not so much being caused to attack as they are just fleeing in a big group. It's why they're not fighting each other, they're all just scared. It's not Ibushi's mind-controlled shenanigans that he does with Hinoa. That is something she can do as a Wyverian. Very rarely Wyverians are born with the gift to synchronize with a monster. She's just happened to do that with the Serpent and has kind of got a feeling for why he's doing what he's doing. Ibushi can't control things by just willing it. He's causing it to happen with this wanton destruction. And the other bonus that at least I think is going on here is that the rampage causes a lot of death, right? There is a lot of monster bodies. And what do you do with those bodies if you're the serpents? Well, you eat them. They're fuel. Raising young requires a lot of fuel, a lot of food. And what better than hundreds of monster hunter human corpses caused by your collective mating rampage generating abilities? So Ibushi can find Narwa, be filled to the brim with energy from the rampage that he has consumed and brought with him, and then they're set, they're good to go. It's how they get by in this now wasteland they've created, because they have consumed everything that was in it. It's why Magnamalo follows the rampage, because it's free, easy meals. So, that's what is happening. That's why they're doing what they're doing, that's what's going on. They are causing the rampage in order to both make safe the area for their babies, to generate fuel for the rearing of them, and to find each other. Narwa chooses the site, Ibushi must find her. Clearly, outside of the mating season, they are solitary creatures. So now we must return to the crux of the question. What will happen when they meet? There are 5 options that I will consider that I think are likely, and at this point I'd like to address one big one. Their baby is not bloody Amatsu. That's so insane. It really is. Like, I don't... What? There's no relation whatsoever. Amatsu generates weather. He creates the conditions for stormy clouds and hurricanes. Sure, there is similarities, but Ibushi generates dragon energy and pure wind. He doesn't manipulate or generate weather. Narwa is electromagnetism and a little bit of crackly thunder, right? I can see why people can think this, because, you know, it's the first time we've had floaty Leviathan Elder Dragony things after Amatsu, but there's no relation. They are so completely separate species. Power set, visually, the theme of them, the locations, nothing lines up. Not to mention that honestly both Ibushi and Narwa are pretty much, very much more powerful than Amatsu. So if their union produces something weaker than both of them by probably far, that doesn't make sense either. Amatsu is not a factor here.
Sad Amatsu noises.
Though that said, I still would like to get Amatsu. I think it'd be wonderful to see what they could do with them, though again it might be a bit weird having him alongside these serpents. So, they have been finding nesting sites and having offspring for thousands and thousands of years. The mural in the training room depicts the rampage, and that is incredibly old. The little relic records you can find show that the shrine ruins itself was a bustling civilization until a Narwa chose it as her breeding site and a rampage destroyed it. They destroyed it, reduced it to the ruins that it is now known as. We know that the Frost Islands has been rampaged from their messages. We know that the volcano has been rampaged and chosen from the messages. We know that they like to pick and choose and change. There's not a place they go to every time. Hell, even in the lava caverns, the messages point you towards the cave with the skeleton in. They say that's the source of the power that is causing the monsters to go crazy. They're on an expedition to explore the lava caverns, and they get driven back by monsters going crazy. So when these messages were left, that skeleton was alive. That was the nest. That literally was where it was happening. That was the epicenter. And they got driven away because obviously they didn't want anyone close to interrupt or threaten their breeding cycle. So this creature is clearly an ancestor of Narwa and Ibushi. The thing is though, it's not an identical match for either of them. It's not the exact right skeleton. It has horns like Ibushi but not in the right place. Its shape is different to Narwa. So to me, either it's such a long ancestor ago that they've just quite literally changed over the years and evolved and got slightly different forms, or this is the skeleton of their offspring. This is what a combination of Ibushi and Narwa look like. But wait, hang on a minute. Is that not weird to say? One of the options that might happen when they meet, of course, is a single child of Ibushi and Narwa that combines their powers and is crazy, but that actually makes completely no sense when you think about it for a moment, because what does a pair of animals produce themselves, right? Like, you don't get two tigers together and like, oh, I can't wait for the super tiger. Like, it's still just a tiger. So if Ibushi and Narwa have offspring, it's going to be more Ibushis and more Narwas. The females will be Narwas, the males will be Ibushis. They'll grow up to be exactly like Ibushi and Narwa and exactly as powerful as them. It's weird to think that they'll just magically create this fusion hybrid death being when this is something that happens every 50 years for thousands of years. It's not like once every 50 years they create this super baby. Where do the generations of Narwa and Ibushi come from? Unless it's the same Narwa and Ibushi, but that opens up a whole can of worms. But no, I don't think we're going to get a super fusion child unless they completely throw any kind of animalistic realism out the window. The other option then is we don't actually get to the baby part of this. We actually stop it. We do successfully defeat it before it can happen. We say to these animals, how dare you follow your natural instincts, die! And we fight Ibushi and Narwa together and win, which would be a very, very cool fight, a combination of them. Though I don't see this happening either, chiefly because Ibushi isn't really tooled to be a normal fight. Now, obviously, it would be probably in the Coral Palace again. It might be in an extra zone of it, a bigger zone, and obviously they've made Apexes fightable normally, so it's not like they couldn't make him a normal fight, but I think he's especially a challenging one. but I also feel like his role to play kind of ends when he gets to Narwa, but we'll get to that. The other option is many Ibushi and Narwa children, which kind of makes sense. They're based on sea creatures, and sea creatures have thousands of eggs, and they will, find a nice safe place for them. All the eggs will happen externally, and they'll hatch, and, the Coral Palace, the cave that Narwa fell into, that could be lined with thousands of Narwa Ibushi eggs just waiting for Ibushi to find them. That is kind of a terrifying prospect, but honestly it's quite likely. It's how moray eels do, and again, they've very much got a lot of factors from them. So if anything, if this is successful, if they manage to breed, to me that's just going to be hundreds of mini Ibushi and Narwas flying around the place that we now have to contend with as they go off and carve their own path. But of course they might not produce that many. It might just be one or two. Obviously there's no real way of telling, but I feel like the baby angle in general isn't what we should be focusing on, because even if it is about hunting a third creature that's produced, they have to age it so fast for it to be threatening. And yeah, something like Zeno was just out the cocoon and he was incredibly powerful, but are they really gonna pull that again? I feel like we're kind of missing the forest for the trees by imagining what they will create as opposed to thinking about what they will do. And for me, the main one, the big one, the one that I would put my money on is some kind of super Narwa, some kind of all-powerful version of her. And the reason I think this is because I am kind of suspicious that they go to the school of the aforementioned anglerfish. That the male's kind of journey ends when he finds the female. They go to the praying mantis school of things, where the female will just eat him as their first free easy meal to help fuel the now ready to go eggs. So imagine a world where Ibushi gets to Narwa, they do their thing, and then Narwa consumes him in some way, and then gains the power of Ibushi herself, and she is the hybrid of their power, while she protects the now fertilized eggs that are on their way to hatching as she guards the young. To me, that seems like the path that would be very cool. It would be a cool twist. We have a cutscene, Narwa absorbs or does something to Ibushi. Ibushi falls still and dark, and then Narwa is almost reborn, like all of her armor and thoughts suggest, as this Ultra Narwa that really is the matriarch guardian of the nest, and that's who we have to stop. That's how you make her more threatening. That's what is, to me, the logical way, because the babies won't be threatening and they shouldn't be different by all logic. So it has to still be the parents that are the problem, and they've escaped for a reason. So if Ibushi's going to cause a rampage, get to now with all of this monster dead body fuel, give it to her, they're going to mate, and then Ibushi doesn't really need to do anything anymore. It's all Narwa, and Narwa is much larger than Ibushi. Narwa is much more powerful. And in animals where the female is larger and more powerful, that tends to be what happens. As I said, the anglerfish, the male just sacrifices himself. That's the extreme example. But in so many species, once the male is mated, that's lights out, chiefly and mostly as a meal for the female to help her with the young. So that could be something very much that's going to go on here. And the last little tiny smidge of evidence that makes me think this is actually randomly the name of the Palamute rampage weapon. The Palico one is just, rampage sword. It's got a plain description. But the Palamute one, I don't know if you've ever looked at it, but the rampage weapon is called the Allmother sword. And obviously the rampage is caused by the serpents. It's to do with them. It's connected. So the rampage weapons are too. And it says it has devoured the souls of countless monsters. Like, this seems to be the implication towards the rampage being a way to collect energy, monster souls, if you want to phrase it like that, and that's what Ibushi is doing. But the name of it, the Allmother sword? Why the Allmother? Allmother? That's so weird to me. Like, that seems so random and out of place, almost like it's perhaps a mistranslation. But what creature do we know that could be described as Allmother in Rise? Narwa, obviously. She is the nest guardian. She is all about Ibushi finding her. She's all about her offspring rising and destroying the land. She's all about her children. So, to me, Narwa is what we should be thinking about here. A Narwa that once met with Ibushi becomes something else entirely. A Narwa that is this super mother and we have to stop her, otherwise swarms of mini Ibushi and Narwas will destroy everything. And that's kinda where I'm at. I realize this was a lot, but it's about time that I have spoken on my thoughts and theories when it comes to these serpents, and I quite like the conclusion that I've come to. Let me know what you guys think, but in any case, please like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Please consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. Goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.